Hello, welcome back. Mighty Morgan, the Power Rangers. Well, the year was, I think, somewhere on the 90s, and on the mornings and on the evenings, we had the channel called Jetix, and we were playing and watching the typical popular TV shows. And one of my favorite was Go Go Power Rangers. Yeah, I call them Go Go Power Rangers, not just only Power Rangers, because I don't know. I was a kid. That's why I called them. And times when the internet was scarce and the children were more innocent, it took a long time for us to understand what the production was. How Saban had adapted the Japanese content for the American market, why the Yellow Ranger didn't have the same skirt as the pink one, and things like that. None of this, however, was important. The popularity of the program that became the three cultural phenomenon typical of the 1990s. And hmm, it was obvious that the game based on the universe would be a huge success, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers um, it will have a few different versions too for different consoles, and the ES and ES versions being probably the most famous and recognizable to this day. It wasn't that different from the tons of generic beat 'em ups of the time, but man, charging up a special bar to transform and in the end even take over the Megazord was just priceless. We grew up, the franchise went down strange paths on the TV, other games appeared from time to time, but nothing made as such as noise in the media as the one that adopted the first generation. And at that moment, when some important brands from those first generations resurface, here we are again walking the streets of Aldamada, Dos Anjos, and beating up some gray dolls. And Mighty Morphin Power Rangers at the game we are going to tell about, Rita Remind, takes takes actually advantage of the best aspects of nostalgia in different ways. First, of course, by choosing the original generation again, where the five heroes represent the prehistoric animals, but this nostalgia can also be seen in the classic 16-bit pixel art aspect, in more stylized in comparison to the game of the all-time. In this classic beat 'em up gameplay format, a complete old-school package. The plot, even though it's original and created especially for the game, could be cheesier. Robo Rita, a futuristic version of the franchise first antagonist, goes back in time like a shrill T 800 and meets her original version in the incomparable Rita Repulsa, devising an infallible plan to finally defeat the damned Rangers, playing with the timeline according to what suits them and trying to prevent the insider fields from eating for the good. By taking advantage of the principles of all-time travel, alternative timelines, and rewriting the main plot and everything what was happening with the Power Rangers, everybody knows the game has freedom to retell its origin story without having to be tied to cano- canonical constraints, and at the same time allows herself would work several of the known antagonists, including some from other seasons of the television series. In a more creative way, that is the typical of interactive media. Given the scope of the game, however, is the worth nothing that there are few adversaries that gain relevance. The possibility of mixing and remixing pre-established things narrowly fills a progression and career system that is quite coherent with the genre conventions, and format is quite comfortable for those who already master it. In a side-scrolling corridor, needs to beat up everything that moves in his favorite character, and in the end, face a powerful of overpowered boss. The use of strategically placed gadgets throughout the scenarios is in a good way to alleviate more populated areas, and the shooting of vehicles in the shoot 'em up passages is much more frequent than one would expect from something set in the universe. In fact, the stages that charge perspective are very welcome, as the Contra and Battletoads did it, for example, which break the cycles of repetition even if they are less brilliant in terms of control precision in enemy diversity. The same goes for the battle involving the infamous dinosaurs. This time also present in their individual forms before joining together the powerful Megazord. These are passengers with a certain three-dimensional aspects, repetitive and with several sections refused from each other, and always based on oddity of a rocky valley and generic industrial facilities. Conceptually, a great idea, but in terms of execution, the low point of the game. All this effort would be a huge waste, however, if the setting didn't convey the feeling of the end of the last century, and most likely the audiovisual aspect and the great most completed successful of the production. You can find some more timid settings, interior passages, and average things, but rule is the amplitude of large environments implementing the feeling of the catastrophic urgency that at the same time doesn't have time to breathe to take itself too seriously. The visuals are impeccable, including the in-game pixel art with the simple yet rewarding movements. Added to this, exceptional animation work in opening cutscenes, which despite being based on some recognizable precepts, bring its own identity to the game, freeing itself from a rigid emulation of the original reference. This results in a lot of personality without denying its origins and the derivative production. It's a shame that the investment is animated passengers is not maintained, leaving the conventional dialogues with the text boxes to contextualize the narrative. The entire sound aspect deserves even more attention, not only because of the presence of the updated and exciting version of the main theme and deliveries that maintain the same energy tone, but also because of the entire ambience full of the effects, noises, and a lot of exaggeration in the sound of the fighting. The almost innocent vibe of the young invention is consistent and constant, ensuring the narrative rhythm and the fluidity of the gameplay is the catalytic combination that harks back to more vibrant, simple, and uncommitted times. While the combat system has to transform all its excitement into a consistent action model that, while lacking any ambition to reinvent the wheel, does the basic impeccably. The combos are too easy to connect and rely on the cartoonish tone to enhance the impact. Beating up poor Clay's figures is fun, especially when you make good use of the range of the basic moves. Compositions with packed attacks and the use of providential special bar that guarantees all the necessary pyrotechnics. Being able to use the objects from environment to compose your attacks is a very welcome addition, while managing your health bar requires care even on the standard difficulty. For the more experienced, the level above difficult released later, it is experienced in rare silence and patience, because it makes the enemies very, very, very aggressive. The only things that regardable at the bottom with the Megazord is which repetitive and boring cycles and hence some problems with the precision. The passengers with the dinosaurs are also extremely long and slow, with the problems with the scene composition and economical enemies and truly provocative actions. As a result, what personality remains in the beat them up sections is lacking in the others. So, in the conclusion, exciting, fun, and energetic, mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind is a true celebration of the franchise and beat them up format itself. The game combines a story typical of the morning Super Sentai shows in 1990s, great gameplay, and stunning aesthetics. Even if it loses a bit of rhythm in the shooting and combat passages with the Zords, it doesn't reinvent the genre, but it certainly excels it like few production of the last decades. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.